Okay, so just watched the first episode of that Junji Ito anime, and it's good. It's good. I approve of that. Also, hot. Now I get to punch you. Boop. I don't know. Is this okay or is this the, I'm gonna punch you now? I'm not sure. If it's the latter one, we'll just mulligan it. Just we'll call it even. Don't even worry. It was really good. They started with a Shinichi story, which is probably the best kind of Junji Ito story you can start with, or at least I tend to think so. I'm more in the family of thinking that the star of the show for Junji Ito stuff is more of his short form, not world ending catastrophes. Partially because Gil is a little bit of a well, not Gil. Uh, Uzumaki is a little bit of a magnum opus, but his best work is like this very small scale, very compact stories with weird endings. Initially when I saw this, it kind of snuck up on me because I knew it was coming out sometime on the 5th, which is today when I'm recording it, but I couldn't find where, and it turns out at like 7:30 in the morning, and I just happened to be searching around like, where the hell is this? It's not on anyone's schedule, and I just randomly found an article from like 6 months ago saying it'd be at 7:30, so there you go, which immediately I wouldn't say concern me, but it definitely made me raise an eyebrow of are they going to have this be a kids one? Which sounds weird. That sounds weird, but they started with a Shinichi story, which are probably the lighter of the Junji Ito stories. Definitely harkening back to his influences by oh boy, what was that guy's name? I can't remember his name, but the guy who did Drifting Classroom and the other guy who did Gigigi no Kitaro, which I've never read before, but Drifting Classroom was real good. And both of those types of stories are aimed towards kids, or at least kids relative to the 60s, so, and we already know those had a big effect on Junji Ito. Um, First off, this show has a budget of not one, not two, but $5, which was really concerning, knowing that it was from Bones, I believe, or maybe it was Dean. Sorry, scratch that. It wasn't Bones. It's Dean, and I believe Dean normally does not do anything related to horror at all. Um, which was concerning because a lot of their shows actually do look like shit. And this one definitely does look like it was made on a pretty low budget. But wait, this has a happy ending. It's definitely a show made with substance. Like they were aware of their budgetary limitations and tried to make it look good. Because the opening basically looks like a more complicated Flash animation, and so does the rest of the show. Sort of like Yamishibai. Think sort of like Yamishibai, but not as horribly exaggerated puppet figures. But this is obviously made with these characters not doing a lot of moving, which is immediately apparent. But the way everything is kind of colored and shaded kind of draws your attention away from it a little bit. Um, Okay, so that said, the show is very big on its shading. It brings a very particular aesthetic that is not quite the normal Junji Ito, because I'm not sure if his normal thing quite translates into anime very well. Like, we've seen Gyo. Gyo was not good. Um, this one definitely does a much better job of that. And they definitely, again, started with a much lighter story with the first chapter of the Shinichi stories, where Shinichi is this gross, disgusting, greasy child who always carries around nails and stuff, and plays with bugs and all sorts of stuff. And he talks like he's an anime character. I mean, he is, but like, if you've ever seen, what's that show called that I hated? Chinibyo. Um, he's sort of like that, where he goes around narrating his whole life, talking about, what he's doing all the time and how cool and great he is. And he literally thinks he's the star of an action shonen show like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something. But really, he's just gross and creepy. And in Junji Ito action, he's always going around talking about how he's going to curse you and all sorts of other spooky stuff. But very unlike Junji Ito, when Shinichi curses you, you're probably gonna be just fine. Like you're in for a spook. You're gonna see some scary oh sorry, I meant to do this, some scary stuff, but he won't actually hurt you. Like there are these two kids where he's using voodoo dolls and they coincidentally fight, and there's always a little bit of a question: is the world of Junji Ito just scary naturally like that, or is Shinichi making this happen? And that's something that's never 100% clear, but I'm leaning towards it depends on the story. Um, Later on, you see him interacting with his family, which usually in Junji Ito stuff, every character looks super stressed out. It's almost as if they all have been told the exact time and date of their death, and they all look like they have not been sleeping well thanks to this. But no, this time most of the side tertiary characters look like normal, non super stressed out people that haven't slept in 3 weeks because they know that they're going to die soon, or at least the very date of it thereof. Uh, I'm laughing at people knowing the date of their death. I shouldn't do that. One of the more interesting things is that the scary bits, there's actually two things that I think truly constitute scary here. Um, Shinichi goes around in the woods. He's nailing these voodoo dolls to the trees, and this crazy old guy who owns the property is going around, putting traps and stuff. Like he's just a really unstable, crazy guy. And I guess even though Shinichi he's going around cursing people, but he's kind of cast as just like this shit child. Like he's just an actual child. There's no need to take things personally against him. Um, but this old dude, he's just some crazy old dude. He'd kill a guy. He'd kill again. He doesn't care. He has traps. You can't have traps in Japan, apparently. This is something that comes up in the show. I don't know how true that is, but you can't have a gun, so I'm assuming they wouldn't take kindly to trying to get kids vandalizing your property with like actual bear traps. So I'm guessing. Um, And there's a part where Shinichi tries to trick one of his classmates into spooking them with this nonsense, basically a Nigerian prince scheme. Oh, the guy who made that up got caught recently. Yeah, I figure if episode reviews are going to instantly date themselves, this is fine too. Um, Yeah, and the classmate says, "Okay, well, this is obviously Shinichi, so let me just get out of the way and go talk to him." And Shinichi, um, he's planning his tricks like he always does, and he comes out wearing a black hoodie and these big stilts, pretending to be like this giant bug monster, which was a little bit spooky in the manga, I'll admit, but that's because I just hadn't read any Shinichi stories before, so I just figured that that was the real thing. It wasn't. It was just him in a hoodie and stilts, and he gets caught up in the trees at the end, and his classmate is like, "Ah, man, you're such a dickhead. I'm going home. You could stay up there stuck in those trees with your dumbass big spider costume." And the crazy landowner guy comes on out and flings an actual axe at him, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna get you, you dumbass child." And Shinichi's brother, I think his name is Juichi, I think that's his name. Comes on out. I was like, whoa, whoa, hold up. This is my kid brother. He's just some dumb child. I'll take him to the police. And besides, you can't do anything because I've seen you with these traps. That's illegal. The police may not like what he's doing, but he's certainly not going to like what you're doing. So. And the episode just kind of ends like that. So it's kind of like a Twilight Zone. Actually, what it reminds me of the most might be early Yu-Gi-Oh! But oddly enough, less dark, which is a funny thing to say relative to Junji Ito, where Shinichi is this character that may not know exactly what they're doing, but they definitely have some type of unspoken ability to manipulate the world around them in various ways and make their foes see stuff that maybe they wouldn't normally see, or make their senses see something that they shouldn't be. Like there's a part, oh man, I'm happy I remembered to mention this. This is terrible. Um, where they have what looks like a photorealistic spider. Like I didn't get a good look because I'm actually terrified of spiders. That's actually the second scary thing in here. The second scary thing is that photorealistic spider, where he's trying to Shinichi's trying to scare his sister with a spider, saying, "Ha, I'm gonna get you with this spider. Here it is. I'm gonna get you." And it's just this photoshopped ass spider. Like it just looks like they went to Google image search and just went golden orb weaver and just used that as the actual spider. Um, so that was pretty great. Well, it wasn't great for me because I'm actually terrified of spiders, but he definitely tricks one of his classmates into like, oh, I'm gonna get you with a spider this time. This is the technique I'm gonna get to scare the shit out of you. But you know, his classmate goes to the restroom and sees what appears to be like this giant spider coming over and like shooting its web at him, tying him up, and all sorts of stuff. But it turns out he's just been wrapped up with toilet paper. Or earlier on, where he's like, "Ha, you're gonna do this to me? Well, yeah, I bet it'd be funny if you were a toad man and you just popped up out of the ground in the winter or the spring like a toad," which makes sense in a Japanese context, but I guess kind of falls flat for me. But I'll use my imagination. And they find the guy's body just buried in the dirt, and you're thinking, "Oh shit, this guy's dead." Junji Ito, that's what he does. But nope, turns out that guy was still alive with no idea how he got in the fucking sand, or dirt rather. So there you go. That kind of reminds me of early Yu-Gi-Oh with their shadow games, where someone may think they're gonna die, but or they think they're on fire, but really they've been crawling around in dirt and leaves for the last 4 hours or something like that. Now, I noticed it stopped a couple of minutes early, like 2 or 3 minutes early than I would expect it to, where that story kind of wraps up, and and they if you know the short story, where I'm basically spoiling it for you, like you can still watch the Shinichi anime and still dig it if you want to watch this first. I don't know why you would. Some people like doing that, but I respect that. I watch podcasts where I have not seen the thing that they're talking about, so we not gonna yuck your yum. But at the end, there's a story. It's like a 2 minute story where this family has a kid, and the kid has this illness where they turn into a doll, and they're like, well, a lot of families, when their kids turn into dolls and get the doll sickness, they just burn them. But us, we disagree. We don't think that's good. We still love our kid. And over the years, they realize, okay, well, they're not coming back. They're never going to be the same again. And again, most people would, burn their doll child, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And over time, the doll gets progressively more and more monstrous. Like it starts looking angry and like a Chucky doll, or Child's Play doll. Um, and then they cut away and they go, it's been a little bit. I think I understand how those parents feel burning up their doll child. I think it might be time to go ahead and rip the band-aid off, just burn that sucker up. And they do something that was really cool. The way Junji Ito stuff works, and I'm gonna horribly butcher Super Eye Patch Wolf here, was there's a little bit of an interest curve where oh, it's boring, oh, it's boring, oh dang, stuff's happening, which is basically the manga equivalent of a jump scare, and that basically works because you get to turn the page and find out at your own pace, because there's a little bit of a doop 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 doop. Oh, something spooky, whoop, super spooky. That's my chart. Did you like my chart? Um, so what they did here was, the last image is really spooky, where they show what the doll finally turned into before saying, "Forget it, I'm out of here." Where they showed this kind of writhing mass of maybe flesh or wood or something with tentacle, well, not tentacles, but like weird insect arms coming out, writhing around. It's all disgusting. And they stay on that for about 5 seconds, which, gives you a chance to know here's the wind up. There's something spooky right around the corner, which is, the flow of Junji Ito stuff where, you're going to turn the page, there's something spooky. Here's your last chance because we're going to jump scare you, but we're going to be ethical about it and let you know that you're about to be jump scared so you can have your cake and eat it too. Seeing the scary thing that takes you by surprise, but not, having a really cheap, lame scare. And then, bam, this horrible, ugly doll face. There it is. And the episode just, ends like that. In true Junji Ito fashion, where they just say, okay, boom, here's something weird, deal with that. I actually thought this was going to be a series of shorts, or like, 2 10-minute episodes cut down the center. Admittedly, the Shinichi one kind of felt like it was, it went on a little bit too long. Kind of like the 2005 or 2006 version of Blackjack, where they did definitely take stories directly from the manga, but those stories were like 20, 30 pages long, and you're stretching this to be like a almost half-hour narrative, and that, like, you can stretch it to be about 20 minutes, but there's like 7 minutes there that, maybe could have been something else, or maybe could have been another story, but making it any shorter might have made the story feel a little bit rushed. So, at least I know that they're willing to, if they simply just don't have enough to fill exactly 22 minutes, they'll use a short clip of something else. Also, I'm not gonna lie, that made me feel really good, because a lot of people are getting on me about manga macabre things being really short, but sometimes some of that shit is just 10 or 15 pages, and I can't fill out 30 minutes, and it's good to know that these professional animators that are getting paid to do this can't do it either. Not comparing myself to them, but, if the expert can't do it, some jackass in their room can't do it. I digress. Ultimately, I'm happy to see where the show's going. And I kind of wonder what stories that they're going to use. We already know that they're going to use some Tomy stories because it's just in the opening. Like, they announced that there are going to be some OVAs at the end, like once the series is over for Tomy. But she's also in the opening, so it wouldn't make any sense to not use her. We also know that the actress story is going to be in there. And it's looking. My phone stopped recording there, but that's okay. I was almost done anyway. Yeah, I'm pretty happy to know where this is going. We know some of the stories that are going to be in there. We got the actor's story in there. It's in the opening, so that's real good. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed these kind of one-off episode reviews where you don't see my head because I'm very bashful. So if you dug this, let me know, because I'm real happy about this. I'm really happy to do this. Might do this for Devilman Crybaby, but I might just watch that whole series. They released on the same day, It's super interesting. I wonder if Devilman Crybaby and Junji Ito coming out on the same day is like that time Skyrim and Zelda both came out on the same day. Huh. Okay, well, you know what to do. Here's the thing to do something. Here's the thing to do something else. Unless if I don't put those in, then I guess they're not there. Okay, well, if you're curious, this is a Zelda shirt. Okay, the video's done now. I'm just here's a few seconds where I'm just letting you click on these bad boys. Unless if you see them immediately after I upload them, then I just look like an idiot.